Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a women's health specialist physiotherapist. My background is musculoskeletal physio, which is muscles and joints, and I've gone into the specialist area of women's health physio following the birth of my two children, finding problems myself, issues after having a baby and not having any answers, not finding that there was much out there to help me. So kind of hopefully trying to bridge the gap that can help a few people or a lot of people with issues that they might be finding that they're having.
What is a women's health physiotherapist and how do they differ from your typical kind of muscles and joints MSK physio?
Yeah. Okay, so with women's health physio, obviously a lot of the time it's encompassing the pelvis. So included in that, I will see women who are pregnant. So you might have problems with your pelvis. You might have pelvic girdle pain to the front, to the back during pregnancy. And then after pregnancy, you might have issues again, the same pains might still be there. You might have problems with your pelvic floor, so you might then notice you have some stress incontinence. So when you cough and you sneeze, you might leak a little bit of urine. You might notice problems with your bowels after you've had baby. You might have a section, so you might have had a C-section. You can get a lot of adhesions, scarring in that area. You can also have cuts and tears, forceps, all these lovely things with the vaginal delivery, resulting in scarring, which can lead to problems down there with lots of issues, pain during sex, even just wearing tampons can be painful. You can have pain vaginally, but it can refer up into like groin pain, that kind of thing. So obviously the biggest thing for most women it tends to be the tummy and that gap that you can get between your abdominal muscles. So the abdominal muscles separate when you're pregnant, and obviously that doesn't always go back after delivery. So that's something I can look at, address, try to rectify that problem, and that quite often links in with pelvic pain and pelvic issues like your stress incontinence. So if you cough, sneeze, jump, skip, you leak a little bit of urine, and the other kind of problems later on down the line can be after you've gone through the menopause or during and before the menopause. So again, prolapse issues. So there's lots of different types of prolapse. You can have prolapses from the rectum into the vagina, you can have prolapses of the bladder down into the vagina, you can have a full prolapse of the uterus. So there's lots of different things, but you would know you've had a prolapse because you'll have a heavy sensation, or you're not emptying your bowels properly, you're not emptying your bladder as well as you should be. But you can also have, as you get older and go through menopause, the estrogen levels drop, you can end up with very dry vagina. You can find sex very, very painful. You can actually get a condition where your vaginal wall starts to kind of almost atrophy, which means it shrinks a little bit, and that can be quite painful and quite distressing to some ladies. There's lots of issues around hormones as well, and again you can have stress incontinence there as well with the bladder, the same as you can have any point during pregnancies and after having babies and later in life. And the other area that a lot of people don't realise is I can cover things to do with, you may not have had a baby, but you might think, well, I actually do sneeze and cough and leak a little bit of urine. Why is that? I haven't had a baby. But you can actually have an overactive pelvic floor, so the muscles can be too tight, and that's again something that I can have a look at and try and sort that problem out. So there's quite a lot of different areas there that you may not realise anything can be done about it, but there is.
So women's health physio is not just for people who are pregnant and postnatally, from what you're saying there. It is for
any.
For, like I said, later down the line, menopausal type thing. Is it mainly women who have had or given birth and been pregnant when they were earlier, or can it be women who've never been pregnant?
Yep, it can be any. I've seen quite a lot of, I've done this now since having my last child, who's now 5. So I've been doing women's health for over 5 years. And I've seen lots of different ones. I've seen lots of people from later down in the line of menopause that have not had children. So absolutely, you don't have to have had a child to have an issue later down the line. It can just be that hormonal imbalance that causes all these things that go wrong, unfortunately, with us. So that's they don't have to have had a baby even.
And is it a good idea to see them? Because I've seen you do the mummy MRTs.
Yeah.
Are they good for everyone to do, or is it just in terms of postnatally? Or
yeah.
Is it just mums who may be having an issue to come see you, or is it just good as a routine to come and have
checks?
So the mummy MOT,
is an hour's postnatal assessment. So that covers, when I look at posture. So obviously when we're feeding, whether that be bottle or breastfeeding, we are in this posture a lot, changing a lot. So there's a lot of postural tension, upper. Obviously you might have postural changes, the lower back from having the baby, some weaknesses. So it's having a look at those postures to try and correct those postures, so that they could be causing a problem. You may well have that issue with that gap again, the stomach muscles might have separated and you've got that diastasis, and you might be 6 years postnatally and thinking, well, I've still got this bit of a tummy here, but I don't know how to get rid of it, and it actually might be that diastasis. You might have been putting up with leaking, and your child's 5 now, and you think, well, why is that still the case? And it's 5 years down the line, but ultimately it's not postnatal just having a baby, it can be that far down the line. Ultimately, lots of people I am seeing now might not actually have a problem, but rather than just going straight back into exercise, they've been quite proactive about it and they want to know, is everything okay? There's lots of celebrities that have had mummy MOTs down in London, and it's more being that they want to just check that everything is as it should be. Because obviously I will do an assessment of the gap to make sure you haven't got a diastasis, as I've mentioned, the posture, but ultimately checking the strength of your pelvic floor. So looking at how strong that is, if you're doing contractions correctly, go through. It's an hour's assessment, so it's quite in depth and there's a lot that we cover, but it doesn't have to be that you've actually got any issues. It might just be that you think, well, I want to go back to doing something that was quite an intense exercise or running, and actually I want to make sure that I'm okay to do that. So that's fine, you don't have to have any issues. You might just want to check that all is good, really.
Is that type of thing would be good if you have any issues, just to make sure everything's okay?
Yeah.
Particularly if you're thinking, let's say you want to get back to some type of exercise, or if further down the line you want to have a second child, to give your body that best chance.
Yeah.
Is that what,
Absolutely. I mean, I've had quite a few that have seen me during pregnancy, and more just wanting to check that they're doing everything correctly, that they're making the best that they can do in regards to having to deliver, and still exercising and doing all the correct things, that they're not causing themselves any further problems or issues, that they're going to help themselves. And then obviously postnatally having that check to make sure that everything is okay, and that you get your 6 to 8 week check from the GP, but as we are aware, you don't get, as most people will be aware, you don't get any physical checks there really. So it's that kind of, although you've been told by the GP you're okay, am I okay physically to exercise? Because you don't know. I didn't know. I had no idea.
So what is normal? So come back to what you mentioned about leaking.
Mm-hmm.
I know people cough, sneezing, jumping, that type of thing. It's something I've heard a lot, being a physiotherapist myself. So what is normal, and at what point should they be thinking, oh, I need to get something done about this, or is there a normal?
It's tricky. It is normal to leak after you've had a baby, because...
Is it normal or is it common?
It's not, it's normal and common, I would say. It's normal process to happen after having a baby, and it's common, but it shouldn't be made to be normal, I suppose is the right way of putting it. It's a common thing to happen, and it's a normal thing to happen, but it's something that we shouldn't put up with. So we will have a baby and we get told by GPs and nurses and other health professionals it's a normal part of having a baby, which it is completely, but it's not something that we should put up with. There's something that we can do about it, and it's that point of you're leaking urine and you realise it's actually affecting you, and it's mentally it does affect us, because it gets you down, and it's not a nice thing to happen. That's something that we shouldn't be putting up with. We should not be saying, well, I'll just put a 10 lady in and that'll do me, I'm fine. It's not something that you should put up with. It's common, but it shouldn't be the norm. So if you have got a problem or something that's nagging you, that's been bothering you for a while, and you're not sure whether anybody can help you with it, and you want to chat to me, genuinely, don't be afraid. I've heard it all, been there myself before, so there's nothing that will faze me at all. Completely confidential chat with me if you want to chat about anything at all. If it's something I can help you with, great. If it isn't something I can help you with, but I can point you in the right direction of somebody who can, then that's fantastic. We've got loads of links of lovely people who can help you with your problems if that's something that I can't help you with. So please just do get in touch with us through My Core Wellbeing.